What is going on, my Guardian gamers? It is I, Byrdman, back with another Destiny 2 build, and today I'm going to be showing off a really solid setup using the new Titan exotic class item, using a role that I think a lot of people eventually will get, while also giving you unlimited Transcendence energy. Now, before I get into the video, I know you can follow me over on YouTube and Twitter at Byrdman778. Give a thumbs up on this video. Let me know something you're interested in seeing down below, whether it's Titan, Hunter, or Warlock. Subscribe, become a member, check out the dim link that we have in the description down below, as well as go over to maxroll.gg to see all of the awesome Destiny builds that I've been posting over there. Now, let's get right on into it. Now, like I mentioned before, we're using the new exotic class item, Stoicism. I believe that's how you say it. If not, just yell at me in the comments down below about it. But the armor perks that we have with this one is going to be Spirit of Severance and Spirit of Synthoceps. Now, obviously, the Spirit of Severance is powered melee or finisher final blows, unleash that damaging explosion, which I really like, especially on a melee build like this, just because, again, you're just getting like free damage for just doing what you're already going to be doing all the time. And then obviously Spirit of Synthoceps improves your melee damage when you're surrounded. So you're going to see that bionic enhancements, a little perk kind of pop up at the bottom, and you'll know, hey, I'm getting some more melee damage. Obviously, we are going prismatic for this setup, and for the super, I've been using Twilight Arsenal almost religiously on every single setup. It is just absolutely insane. I did not think this was going to be as good as it is, but it is a whole lot of fun to chuck those 3 axes, get that weakening effect, and just like constant damage and just kind of like these vortex pools that pull people in. It's just so awesome. I love it so much. And then you can grab the axe and throw it again, and it's just a really awesome one. I am so sorry that I was a non-believer in Twilight Arsenal. I am a full believer now. When it comes to our abilities, I'm going to be using Thruster for the most part for my class ability, because I just like the movement that it provides, especially since this is going to be a more melee focused heavy build. It is definitely a benefit to us. For our melee, we're going to be using Frenzied Blade. Now, I need to let people know about this. Frenzied Blade on Prismatic actually has nearly almost a minute more cooldown on it than the regular version of it. So you're noticing that it's just like hard to get those generations of it all time. That's why. But one of the aspects we're going to be using, Knockout, will kind of help out with this later down the road. But biggest reason why we're using this is for the 3 different charges of it that we get. That's going to help out again with another aspect that we're going to talk about here in a second. Shackle Grenade is going to be our grenade. I really like just being able to like take enemies out of the fight. Also be able to, get a tangle from them whenever I defeat them, which is going to help out in another part of the setup. It's just a really solid way to just like add darkness debuffs to a already kind of just like melee focused build. Now, when it comes to the aspects, Knockout is, God, I don't know why they added Knockout to Prismatic. It is insane that they thought this was a good idea, because all it has made is turned like Prismatic Titan into just like an absolute melee monster. Critically wounding a target or breaking their shield infuses your melee attack with an arc energy, increases your melee range and damage for a short time. And defeating a target with melee attacks makes you amplify and restores a portion of your health. Defeating more powerful combatants increases the amount of health gained. Quick thing to also note, Amplified, just so people are aware of it, your movement speed and weapon handling are greatly increased, and after sprinting for a short time, you get that kind of speed boost, and rapidly defeating targets with arc damage makes you amplified. So it's just really nice for just like melee energy, just like kind of being faster, getting that like Synthocep range added back in. I just love it all around. And then second, we're going to be using Consecration. So this is going to be kind of the bulk damage of this entire build. You're going to do that sliding animation. It's going to send out a scorching wave, and then you're going to slam your hammers back down, and then it's going to create that second wave that is going to ignite and just cause that gigantic explosion. Now, what's really great about this, especially with the class item I currently have, is not only is it going to get more damage, but it's also going to create those kind of severance explosions at the end. That's just going to add on to that ignitions that we're already getting. It's just like a nuclear bomb when this thing drops. It is absolutely insane. I've gotten nearly over 200k on some hits with it when comboing like weakening effects and like darkness debuff effects and stuff like that. It's just so awesome. Now, when it comes to our fragments and what we're going to be using for this setup, first up, we're going to be using Faceted Protection. Like my homie Charlie99 says, this is an absolute must to use on every single setup. For Prismatic, while surrounded by combatants, you are more resistant to incoming damage, and while Transcendent, this effect is increased, meaning you're just getting a juicy damage reduction. Now, do know this is going to kind of help a lot, especially with the fact that one of our artifact mods are going to kind of help just add on to this at the end. Facet of Sacrifice, while you have an Arc, Solar, or Void buff, ability Final Blows grant bonus Darkness Transcendence energy. So that's going to be like nearly all the time. We're going to be having Radiant from our Artifact. We're going to be having Amplified from our Knockout. It is just a really nice way to kind of just like juice up that darkness side of our Transcendence bar. But like that's like not even like too big of a worry in this setup. Facet of Devotion, defeating targets afflicted by stasis or strand debuffs grants bonus light Transcendence energy. Obviously, a whole lot of this build is going to be suspending targets, especially with that shackle grenade, throwing different, tangles and stuff, using the call, which is I'm going to talk about here in a second, how it's going to benefit it. It is really nice. Facet of Courage, your Arc, Solar, and Void abilities deal increased damage to targets afflicted by darkness debuffs. Big thing that I'll recommend here is either just chucking your shackle grenade or while you're transcendent, chucking your grenade to create that suspension effect on enemies. As soon as that happens, just use your concentration and watch the damage numbers explode out the roof. And then finally, Facet of Balance. A big reason why we like this is just because it's constantly helping us feed all of our different energies. Rapidly defeating targets with light damage grants melee energy. Rapidly defeating targets with darkness grants grenade energy. We're going to be doing kind of both of those all at the same time, especially like let's say you're all out of all your frenzied blades and you're just running around punching while you're amplified. Your melees are going to get arc damage added onto it, so that's going to feed into your melee energy. And then for the darkness side of things, just shooting like your call simply is going to do a lot of that helpful grenade energy for you. Now let's talk about the weapons we're going to be using for this setup. Again, I'm running double special on this. I'm actually using the call. I'm a big fan of this because of the fact that like the rocket sidearms are just insanely meta right now. You can use this completely as your primary because again, the time to kill on most of these rockets is instant. So you are able to really just kind of benefit from just like, using this all the time. I use different things like hatchling on it so that I'm able to get a different debuff on targets as well. So it's just really nice. And then I'm also using the Axial Lacuna, whatever you say it. Again, yell at me in the comments down below about how terrible my pronunciation and things are. But I really like this one because again, it's another one of these dealer choice weapons. If I haven't explained already, Final Blows with your weapon grants a small amount of super energy. Equipping multiple weapons from the Pale Heart increases this effect. Obviously the call is one of those. So we're able to get our super back insanely fast with just using either the call or this at the same time. But a big reason why I like this, again, it uses solar energy. So it's going to be light damage, which is going to help feed into that light bar, ensuring that we're going to get that Transcendence energy back really fast. And then when it comes to your heavy, that's just completely up to you. I've been bouncing between Tractor Cannon, Microcosm, and Gallahorn. It's completely up to your preference and what you want to do there. Now, when it comes to the armors and mods that you should be using for this setup, first up on our helmet, I'm using it hands-on because we're using melee damage all the time, ensuring that I'm going to get that Twilight Arsenal back as much as I humanly want. I've had entire sequences where I've just like chucked it and like less than a minute later, I have it back and ready, just depending on what the content I'm doing is, just because again, between using that dealer's choice weapons or this, it's just gonna juice that super up. Also, I'm using special ammo finder, 2 of those, just because again, I want to be able to have as much ammo as humanly possible all the time. This is just a great way to do it. On our gloves, triple heavy-handed so that we're able to just constantly keep those orbs of power flowing. Again, having 3 of these means I have a 1-second cooldown in between those melees. Chest piece is completely up to you. I just use 1 of each of the light subclass mods, just so I have some decent coverage there. On our legs, I'm using Invigoration so that I'm able to get some of that melee energy back whenever I pick up an orb of power. Recuperation so I get some health back for it, and then Absolution so that I'm able to just kind of get in general energy across the board. And then finally, on our class item, I'm using Outreach, so whenever you use that thruster in your targets, I'm going to get some melee energy back. Powerful Traction, so I pull on those orbs of power whenever I do that. And then Reaper, so that whenever I get a weapon kill after I use my thruster, I'm going to get an orb of power. When it comes to the artifact mods and everything you should be using, again, this one's going to be a little bit more in depth. Overcharged Armory and Winning Hand are an absolute must since we're using 2 dealer's choice weapons. It's just going to benefit those just a whole hell of a lot. In the third column, I'm going to be using Press the Advantage so that I get some extra just like handling, reload speed, all that stuff whenever I break a shield, as well as Threaded Blast. Now, Threaded Blast is actually a really big one that you guys need to pay attention to. Whenever I get like a tangle and I shoot it with my call, it's going to create an even larger and even more deadly explosion around it. This is huge because essentially we're just getting those old Warmind mods back with this. It is absolutely insane, just the nuking damage this can do. In the fourth column, Void Hegemony. While you have Void or Prismatic subclass equipped, defeating weakened targets provides a small Void overshield. Again, this is just chucking our super as much as we can. As soon as we chuck it and we defeat a target with it, we are getting an extra little overshield. Radiant Orbs. Whenever I pick up an Orb of Power, I'm going to become Radiant. And then Galvanic Armor is another big one. Again, I was talking about that faceted protection and giving us that damage resistance. This is going to do the same thing, but just because we are amplified. And finally, in the fifth column, we're going to be using Shield Crush. Now, we're going to be able to get melee energy from our Void Overshield whenever we throw that super, so that's a great one. But the biggest thing is just going to be that amplified for our grenade, just to kind of constantly keep up that shackle grenade, ensuring that it's just going to recharge a whole lot faster for us. And then also Transference, so that we have increased grenade and melee damage while Transcendent, because that's going to be a whole hell of a lot. You're really trying to take advantage of the fact that Transcendence is just going to juice up all of your abilities, give you a whole lot more cooldown for them, and just ensure that that's going to be the best time to do damage across the board. Now, we always like to talk about how this is going to be beneficial to champions and all those in-game enemies. For barriers, you're able to go Radiant from picking up orbs. I recommend just using that fusion rifle against targets because it's going to strip that shield really fast. Barrier, oh my gosh. Unstoppable, it's just going to be whenever you suspend a target with your shackle grenade, so do that and then have fun. Also know you can use consecration on them and ignite them to create that, so that's always a big benefit there. And then when it comes to overloads, you can obviously use the jolting effect from your Transcendence grenade. That's a really nice one, but I also will like sometimes, again, depending on the content, if I know I'm going to have an overload, I'm going to put on Tractor Cannon and just suppress them with that. Thanks so much for watching the video. Hope you guys really enjoy it. Again, please let me know things you're interested in seeing down below. I will pretty much try out anything anybody lets me know down below. So again, if you want a cool idea, let me know. I'll do it. Give a thumbs up on this video, comment, subscribe, and become a member on the channel. And make sure you're checking out the dim link and follow me over on YouTube and Twitter at Byrdman778. Guys, thank you so much. Hope you have a great night, day, wherever it may be.